area of my heart, I want to do this. So let me just try to give to Krishna. And then by that heart attempt, we touch the heart of the representative of Krishna, and we get some experience in our heart, like Didi said, some experience of what it is to be, in contact with that transcendental place. So this is a beautiful book compiled by Tyagi Maharaj, just kind of revealing truth, and simultaneously within the idea of revealing truth, revealing just who Srila Govinda Maharaj is. That his teaching was so deep and so developed, even though his personal nature was very simple and very unimposing personality. He was just very kind. When he traveled, he sat with us and took prasadam, and everyone knows he hugged the devotees, sometimes even hugged the ladies, which is just, in terms of strict, karma sannyas, or the sannyas is conceived by people who are mere renunciates. That's like, no way, you don't hug anyone, what to speak of the ladies. So Gurudev showed by his life the teachings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and by his own beautiful simplicity enabled us to understand what appears to be very complicated things that Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave in very simple, direct way. And one of the main presentations of Srila Govinda Maharaj was this notion that what we get is it's not acquired by our own endeavors, but it's acquired by our surrender to our Guru. So I remember in the days of Srila Prabhupada, he told us, you should not read any books except my books. We thought, yes, Prabhupada, we'll do that. And then later some people would challenge and say, well, this is just, why is he limiting it? Was this some sort of, blind fanaticism, or what is the, what's the explanation for this kind of limitation? Because seemingly the more that you read, the more that you'll understand. That's kind of the general conception of education and of learning. Is that the more you read, the more you gain, the more you develop, and so many things like that. And that works on the material plane, but it doesn't work on the spiritual plane. The spiritual plane has to do with the transmission from the heart of Guru to the heart of disciple. So if the Guru gives you a book to read, that book is connected with his transmission, so it has potency. But if he doesn't give you the book, that's just another, book that's within the realm of the material world. Then we can perceive and understand with our intellect as best we can. Like, you read a driver's manual, how to drive your car nicely or to take care of your car. Or you read a health book about how to take care of your body or your mind or something. Or you read some philosophy so you can understand about how people think, so you can present Krishna consciousness in a proper context. One time Srila Prabhupada wrote me a letter and said, yeah, so you should only read my books, but you may read other books if it has to do with Krishna consciousness. For example, you may study Plato to write a paper about Plato and Krishna consciousness. And later I found myself in a university studying Plato, writing a paper about Plato and Krishna consciousness. I mean, come on, what kind of personalities are we dealing with here? We can't even, he completely not only saw right through me and where I was at that time, but he saw my future. And, well, to get a little even more outrageous, I found out that Srila Prabhupada received a letter from Srila Govinda Maharaj the day before I was initiated. And he gave me the name Sri Govinda Das. My name was Bob. Usually it would be Balaram or something or other. depending on the bead, but he gave Sri Govinda Das, and I thought, whoa, why is he giving me this name? What is this? And later, I understood that he saw that I was a disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and that I would come to the lotus feet of Srila Govinda Maharaj. I really have no doubt but that Prabhupada could see the future in that way, and it's not accidentally that the letters came at the same time and the name came in a mystical way. And there was another thing that, I'm talking about myself, sorry. There was another thing that my former wife, Sheila, saw, that when Prabhupada walked into the temple room in Chicago, which is where I developed a center, and we had Rath Yatra and so many things there. And when he came in and saw the temple room, he looked around, and first he said to Jai Tirtha, who was in Los Angeles and was kind of a rival. Prabhupada played with us and used our egos so that we could grow in Krishna consciousness. And he looked at Jai Tirtha and said, better than Los Angeles. So immediately Jai Tirtha was like, and then later there was this guy over me, he was the GBC, and he was walking around like he did this, but actually it was me and the devotees in Chicago did. He didn't do anything, but he was walking around like he did it, and probably he's in front of the deities, and Prabhupada turns and looks at him. I never heard this until just recently. Srila told me that Prabhupada looks at him and says, no one could do this except Sri Govinda. And I thought, Prabhupada's saying, he's trying to fry him out, but he's also saying that the Lord Sri Govinda could only do this. Not the guy Sri Govinda, but, in that way Prabhupada was working our egos. Anyway, this is like the spin-off from the point of the books being that books are part and parcel of our Gurudev. Like Prabhupada said, I'm not different from my books. So that when we read things, we're gaining something for our hearts. And, also for our minds and our intelligence to understand the philosophy. But most of all, it's for the heart connection with our Gurudev. So if our Gurudev tells us we should read this, we read it. Otherwise, it has no use. You can read books by Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, so many things. But if your guru has not told you, you read this, you're going to get only superficial things from it, actually. Because it's designed for heart transmission. So that's the reality. So now we're on the next section called Enlightening Power. When transcendental knowledge appears in our hearts by the will of the Lord, we will develop the capacity to understand our eternal relationship with Him. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, seeing a light bulb shining indicates it is connected to a power source. When we will see and understand things clearly in our heart, we will know we are connected with a source of divine power. It is only necessary for us to give that divine light clear entrance and a clean position in our heart. Wow. It is only necessary for us to give that divine light clear entrance and a clean position. So right in that, you look at that light, and the light appears before us, but there's wires connecting it to a source in the outside. What are those things called? The boxes? Do you know what they are? Some kind of generator box, something, and then it goes to the big power station. So in the same way, just as we can recognize light, we can see light. Oh, that's light. It comes from power station. So in the same way, our hearts can recognize divine light. When it comes to us, we recognize it and understand where it's coming from. And for us, that the power source between the main source of electricity and the light is our guru. The guru is that box outside that's transferring the light, the energy from the power source to where we are to see the light bulb. So transcendental light is coming by the grace of the Guru, and we just like we see this with our eyes now, by the capacity of our vision. In a similar way, we see the divine light by opening our hearts and giving a clear entrance. That means, trying with full conviction to open ourselves. Even if it's only like occasionally during the day, in the morning when we do sadhana, it's a time when we can focus and meditate and try to remember, this is what my life is about. My life is about being involved in the attempt to give everything back to the Lord. It may take me 1 lifetime or 5 lifetimes or 10 lifetimes. But the effort is to give everything back to the Lord. And if when we come to Arti, we can try for that. If when we chant our rounds, we can try for that. If when we, Shravanam Kirtanam, when we hear and when we chant, and when we remember about what our life is about, that gives us some stability for the balance of the day, so that we can, in the midst of doing everything that we need to do for our own maintenance and for doing our service, we can be stabilized and remember why I'm doing this. So a clear entrance and a clean position. That means that all the clutter from different attachments are things that block the light. And because Krishna consciousness is such a natural process, it's not as though we have to artificially make endeavor for a clean position. We have to try, no doubt, but artificially we can't attain the clean position. We have to, through surrender, we develop a higher taste. Our life becomes purified so that we're interested in things that are other than the low mundane things. So it's not necessary to when we talk with people, it's not necessary to give up attachments to temporary enjoyment and sense gratification. All that's necessary is to come into contact with the energy of the light, and that light will work in and of itself. It will manifest, not just like magic, but it will come about in our hearts where we'll want, something more and more. And because we want something more and more, our focus will be in that direction. So Rupa Goswami describes this whole process in detail in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how the different seeds of attachment develop, and how those seeds of attachment in the heart are slowly withered away by the development of Krishna consciousness. So clean entrance, Krishna, Gurudev, please let me be your servant. And then clean position. Let me focus on being a servant and not a taker from the external world. That's the trap. I want to find satisfaction, and you think, because of the ego, that if I just take enough, I'll be satisfied. But it works in just the opposite way. The more you take, the less you're satisfied. The material world works like that. So we see, whether it's drugs, sex, money, power, the more you take, the more you need. And you think you're enjoying, and there's some temporary experience, but it becomes less and less, so you think you need more and more. And in that way, people are trapped in the material whirlpool. But people have learned to kind of temper their desires, so they do it by going to church on Sundays, by having a strict kind of social, cultural arrangement, where they can maintain a kind of somewhat stable position in material life. it appears stable, they appear successful externally, but ultimately they have no success because they have to die, and then based on their actions at the time of death, then they have to, take another birth. So Prabhupada used to tell us, if you like eating meat, you'll take birth as a tiger. If you like sex life, you'll take birth as a pigeon and have sex 50 times a day. And we'll get what we want. So it's just, now in human life, we have that kind of sliver of intelligence where we can see, wait a minute, what's happening here? This is like, something's wrong here. I'm getting all this stuff, but then I have to leave. Isn't there something more? And then our guru comes and said, yes, there's more. Just take this, and your heart will become fuller and fuller and fuller as you just are exposed to this. Association, sadhu sangha. Sangha is Sanskrit. It means like being together. So like if you touch an electric current, you'll get zapped. So if you touch like a Vaishnava, you get zapped. You get zapped. So it's an open secret. The whole thing is a great mystery and a great secret, because it's a gold mine that's hidden deep within us, and we have to kind of excavate it out. But as it becomes excavated, it becomes more and more obvious that it's the real thing. It's no longer a big secret. So there's a story of Ramanujacharya when he was, he's a great Vaishnava in a different line, but Srila Maharaj liked him a lot. And he's very Vaishnava personal, but he loved Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi Narayan. And anyway, when he got initiated from his guru was kind of maybe it was his family guru, I forget. But he was told, this is your mantra. You cannot tell it to anyone or you'll go to hell. And he said, will the mantra give liberation, give freedom to me and to anyone who hears it? And the guru said, yes, but you cannot give it to anyone or you will go to hell. So Ramanuja heard this, and immediately he went to the top of there's these entrances, the temples. The temples in South India are surrounded with big walls, and they have big entrances at different directions. And it used to be certain kinds of people went through different entrances depending on their position in the Varna ashram. But anyway, Ramanuja went to the top of one of these entrances and began to shout the mantra, which they say was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, which is, I worship Bhagavan, the Supreme Vasudev, which is who's Krishna. And so he shouted it out without regard for his own, taking. Yeah, his own taking. So he's like, the Vaishnava, so an example of a person who gives and doesn't take. He's not concerned with, I may go to hell, I may go to heaven, whatever the Lord wants, but I want to, simultaneously, the Vaishnavas have hearts. They love. They're connected with Krishna, so they love the Lord, and they want to give. Just like if you have a friend, and you're sick, and he's sick, and you get a cure that helps your disease. Jai Gurudev. Jai. What cool leaves. Wow. Anyway, if you're lucky enough to get a cure for your disease, then you want to give it to a friend, naturally. So the Vaishnava, he's got a cure. So when he looks at you, you see that he loves you. And he doesn't, and it's a kind of love where he doesn't want to take anything from you. He's not part of the business exchange of the material world. You know, I give, you take, I give, back and forth. But he's just giving. And by that contact, you know, he represents for us the spiritual realm. He's like a walking advertisement. He's a walking you know, neon lights pointing in the direction of the truth. So, okay. We are not in control of the flow of revelation, but if we are faithful, submissive, and surrendered, then we can attract revelation's flow and feel its presence in our hearts. And when the descending flow of transcendental knowledge wants to reveal itself in our hearts, it must reveal itself. We will not be able to check it, actually. So it may be that our egos want to like stop this flow of transcendental energy that's coming in, but we can't, because it's coming from a power that's much greater than ourselves. So all we have to do is just, you know, like I said yesterday, step back, see yourself as the soul that's within, riding in the car of the body, and riding within this identity that we've developed from birth. Step back and see that, see how the whole thing is working, and what was I saying? Oh, right, okay. And then make a decision to just put ourselves in a situation where we're going to get this transcendental, we're going to be exposed to this transcendental flow. And Krishna will kill our ego. In spite of, you know, we're going kicking and screaming, as they say. One side of us doesn't like the process to surrender, because it means that we will no longer have the position of control and power and apparent ability to direct our destiny. But in the material world, it's only a reflected appearance of the real direction of destiny that we have in the spiritual world. Like we were told, in the spiritual world, you'll get anything you want. Anything you want. There's a kalpa vriksha, desire tree. And you can pick any fruit, anything will come. And why? Because nobody there wants anything for themselves. So because they don't want anything for themselves, and they only want to serve, everything comes. Whereas here, we want things for ourselves, and then depending on our karma, we struggle, on so many levels. People struggle and get nothing, or they struggle and get a lot, or, it just depends on the karmic situation. But ultimately, all of our accumulation is finito. It's done, it's finished. So there's no, there's no positive accumulation. Whereas our transcendental bank account, every time we bow down before the deity, every time we make a prayer to our Gurudev, like if I remember, I pray to my Gurudev waking up and going to sleep. Every time we pray to our Gurudev, every time we ask for his guidance, for his help, all these things are deposits in our transcendental bank account that will never be lost. Krishna assures us in Bhagavad Gita that what you do in this life for me, you'll never lose it. Whatever we gain in Krishna consciousness, whatever we feel in our hearts, right now, you know, even if we get run over by a train this afternoon, or somehow or other go off to Berlin and join a traveling circus. No matter what we do, we're not going to lose what we have now. Krishna assures us of that. It's just a matter of how much we want to remain covered or increase that cover, but it will always come back. You know, it's a done deal, as they say. Yes.
You know, everything depends on what you have in your mind at the time of death. If you're going to take that kind of as you were saying, if you're thinking about money, sex, different things. But what happens if you have, like, you eat meat, you have, like, that kind of life, and at the end of your life, you meet the devotees, and then you're thinking about Krishna at the time of death. You still have the karma of all the sinful activities you've done during your life. But then it also says that what it counts is the conscious you have at the time of death. So how does that...
Well, it depends on the person also. I mean, someone may just, walk in and snap, just wake up from, many, many lifetimes of previous devotional activity. And he may be almost pure. He's just dove in for the balance of the beginning of his life, right? And he'll remember Krishna. But generally how it would be, in purity, but generally how it would be, there'll be, it's said that the mind at the time of death is like a cumulative total of all your experiences in this life. That's the karmic side of it. Then you have the side of the devotional side. And, it depends finally on Krishna's mercy and I guess just your own desperation. It's hard to say. It depends so much on the individual. Like I was at a point once where I was dying. I had a very bad car accident. I thought I was going to leave my body. And I started to see this light, which turned out later was just this light over me, a light bulb. But I'm thinking, oh, this is the light of, so I better, this is the light, I better start chanting or something. I mean, this is, so this big light comes and I start going, Krishna, Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, let me join the Sankirtan party. Sheila was right there and I'm screaming and yelling, join the Sankirtan party. And I see this like Sankirtan party and I'm thinking, whoa, there's really I'm going to join a Sankirtan. Let me join the Sankirtan party. And then Sheila says, Sri Govinda, Sri Govinda, Sri Govinda. And I'm like, oh, and I see this big light bulb above me. And she says, you're not going anywhere.
She wasn't having it.
So I don't know, I mean, I was thinking of the Sankirtan party, but it was a bizarre,
Experience.
Yeah.
Because you're on the painkillers as well as drugs.
Of course, I was completely on morphine and I was hallucinating Sankirtan party. So who knows?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, who knows?
It wasn't
Right.
a wolf.
Yeah, who knows? I saw Sheila Prabhupada and Sheila Sridhar Maharaj. They were dancing together. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, you never know. But it's said that the cumulative total of your activities will come to you at death. And then based on that consciousness, you go to the future. But, like zapping into that, like a lightning bolt, is our transcendental connection with our gurus. So, in desperation at the time of death, like, well, we know there's so many stories of souls at the time of death who've lost their way, and suddenly that fallen Brahmin who remembered his son, Narayan.
Aren't you?
Yeah, Ajamil, right, Ajamil. And, so it really just depends on the circumstance. by and large, that's how we go by it. That at the time of death, you're not able to really focus that well, because the cumulative total of all your activity just comes there. And it said your whole life rushes before you. I didn't actually experience that, probably because I wasn't actually dying. But yeah, it's like anything. It all depends on the inner aspiration, and we cannot. Gurudev would tell us so many times, I can see, but you cannot. So he is 25%, he is 50%, he is 75%, he is 10%, but we don't know. You don't know. You do not know who is a Vaishnava. He would tell us. So that means someone who walks in the front door and says, "Oh, I heard about this Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Maharaj. He may be a higher Vaishnava than us. It may be. It's possible. We don't know. So we have to. So we honor everyone who comes in contact with our gurus, because our gurus are so high. So what to speak of the people who have been given entrance by our Gurudev? We just don't know. You can't tell.
Like Madhusudan Maharaj was saying that when Sheila Maharaj arrived in Navadvip, he was wearing jeans. Like a typical.
Oh, right, yeah. Right. See, he was a lawyer from Bangladesh. and now, just see, he's given such power by Srila Gurudev. It's quite, I'm actually, every time I come in and do his association, I'm quite astounded how this is possible, that Gurudev has made these people. My godbrother Goswami Maharaj and others, Janardhan Maharaj and Ashram Maharaj, all these guys who are have been like injected with an extra special potency by Gurudev, and you can see it. It works like that. The Guru, like we were saying with Maharaj yesterday, the Guru can make gurus. Otherwise, how can he be Guru? So it's not, we don't take lightly that he's given this position to, our, how many other, 5 or 6, It's a very, very high worshipable position, and they have the capacity, just as all of our godbrothers do, but in God sisters, but special capacity to, zap our hearts. It's true. It works by the desire of the Vaishnava, and we know that. I remember Goswami Maharaj saying, we know that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a genuine Vaishnava. We heard that from Srila Prabhupada. Everybody knows that. And Saraswati Thakur has said that in Srila Sridhar Maharaj there is at least one disciple who would carry on that tradition. So we know Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And we hear from Srila Sridhar Maharaj that Srila Govinda Maharaj is his dearmost disciple. Sometimes he would even say that Srila Govinda Maharaj was higher than him. Inconceivable stuff. And then we hear from Srila Govinda Maharaj that this Srila Acharya Maharaj, he will be the central Acharya of our mission. And then for balance and protection, there will be other Acharyas who can also accept disciples. Goswami Maharaj told me it's like if they somehow take out Srila Acharya Maharaj, the anti-party, if they somehow take out Srila Acharya Maharaj, there's 5 or 6 more. They're not going to be able to do it, So that in that way, Srila Govinda Maharaj has made, made our mission very stable and secure under the guidance of these great devotees. So we're fortunate. What's the time? I guess enough.
Yeah.
Enough for today. Any other comments or discussion? Some,
This is when
Inner
you
experience.
mentioned Ajamil, it's, after the words Narayan, not thinking about Narayan, but he's thinking about his son. Because he uttered the words Narayan, the young Dujas backed off and the Vishnu Dujas came. And that's extraordinary, that's the potency of the name. And when you're approaching that, I mean, I've something about death. I nearly died 3 times in my life. You yourself have come close to dying. And one thing I've begun to realise, you will not really know what your fate will be until the moment of death. And you have to have faith that, but in the mercy of your Gurudev and the faith in the holy name of the Lord, that you will, you have to have faith that you will go back to Goloka Vrindavan. You must think that. There's always something, things can kill you. But some sinful activity in your life, or greed, soul, and this is healthy. This is humility. It's important that you should think like that. But you have to think what our Guru Bhagavad teaches is possible for us. You have to have some faith in that. And be clasped with it.
yeah, faith is the reality. Shraddha, which is, it's like kind of ordinary faith in the Western sense is, I believe in God, I go to church on Sunday. It's kind of just kind of a mental position where, yes, I accept, there probably is a God, yes, I accept. But Shraddha rather indicates inner experience. You feel it, you know it. So it's different than just a faith that comes by mind or intellect. Where, that's also good. But deeper faith is a faith where we're moved to transform our life, to change ourselves from the false self to the real self. Okay, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Premanand. So, whoops.